So picture this. Your rear tires are they are absolutely screaming.
Yeah.
You're what, 40 laps into a stint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the force feedback in your wheel feels like it is literally physically fighting your wrist.
It's tearing them apart, yeah.
Exactly. And the driver behind you is shaving tenths off your lead in like every single sector. In the OzOvals V8 Supercar series, I mean, this isn't where the suspension fails. It's where the mind breaks.
Right, because the physical inputs, they kind of become secondary at that point. It
Yeah.
becomes a pure test of cognitive endurance. When the grip completely goes away, the driver's underlying psychology is just totally exposed.
And that is the exact reality that all of you listening, are facing right now. So welcome to the deep dive, and I am speaking directly to you, the driver sitting on the OzOvals grid.
Links in the trenches.
Right. We are at the midpoint of the 2026A championship, and we're coming off the absolute unmitigated chaos that was round 11 at Gateway.
Chaos is putting it lightly.
Seriously. So our mission today is to tear down the telemetry of your minds. We're analyzing the true championship contenders and finding out who actually has the mental fortitude to survive the back half of the season.
But I think we should establish some hard boundaries for this analysis before we even look at the standings.
Oh, absolutely. So listen up, Grid. There will be zero setup talk today. None.
No.
I do not want to hear a single word about car physics. We are not discussing your camber adjustments. We're not looking at tire pressures. And we are, certainly not entertaining any aero push excuses.
Right. If you want a breakdown of, terminal understeer, you need to close this out and open your Motec telemetry.
Exactly. Today, our focus is purely on your mental architecture, racecraft, ego management, and how every single one of you is handling the suffocating, crushing pressure of a championship battle.
Because, honestly, that's the only variable that actually matters right now. I mean, the mechanical differences across the top 10 drivers have effectively equalized.
Yeah, they really have.
Everyone in that elite bracket knows how to make a V8 supercar hit its absolute physical limit on a flying lap, So the differentiator between standing on the podium and ending up in the catch fence.
It's entirely between the ears.
Precisely.
I look at the mid-season point of the OzOvals series a lot like a high-stakes poker tournament.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right, because the early races like Daytona, Charlotte, those are just about keeping a seat at the table. You're feeling out the competition, managing your stack, maybe folding a few hands you could have played just to see how the guy next to you reacts.
Yep.
But following round 11, the blinds have exponentially increased. The buy-in is massive now. You are pot committed, and every single micro decision you make on the track carries immediate championship consequences.
You can't just fold and wait for Daytona anymore.
No, you can't.
And Gateway proved that beyond a shadow of doubt. I mean, it was an absolute crucible of a race.
Total crucible.
You had cautions, chaotic restarts, totally fragmented track positions. It was basically designed to disrupt a driver's rhythm. And rhythm is what keeps a driver calm.
Yeah, once you lose the rhythm, you're done.
Right. When you shatter that rhythm with constant yellow flags, you really test the nervous system. The drivers who allowed the frustration to, override their patience, the ones who let the adrenaline spike.
They're the ones who ended up serving steward penalties.
Or getting towed back to the pits, exactly. The contenders, however, have now explicitly separated themselves from the pack by demonstrating extreme emotional regulation.
And okay, Ruben Phelps is the prime example of that emotional regulation.
Without a doubt.
He is sitting at the absolute top of the mountain right now. 340 points, 3 wins. And that victory at Gateway, I mean, that was a masterclass in situational awareness.
It was clinical.
It really was. He threaded the needle through one of the most unpredictable clustered finishes we've seen all year. I mean, cars were literally sideways across the racing line.
Smoke everywhere.
Everywhere. And Phelps just surgically navigated the debris field to take the checkered flag.
Well, when you analyze Ruben Phelps's onboard footage, you are literally watching a study in raw cognitive efficiency. There is zero wasted energy in his steering inputs. None. He possesses this it's like a precognitive ability to anticipate wrecks.
Yeah, it's like he sees it before it happens.
Exactly. While a mid-pack driver is visually reacting to the smoke or, the brake lights immediately ahead of them, Phelps has already read the body language of the cars 2 rows up.
Oh, wow, right.
He sees the instability before the traction breaks, and he's adjusting his line before the incident even officially occurs.
So he's looking at the macro flow of the pack rather than target locking on the bumper of the guy right in front of him.
That visual discipline is everything. And it translates directly to his mechanical survival. Notice how heavily he relies on rolling speed through the corners.
Yeah, he's so smooth.
Right. He isn't violently pitching the car into the apex and fighting the wheel to catch a slide. Every degree of steering angle you apply creates friction, and friction creates heat.
Which degrades the tire.
Exactly. By letting the car's natural momentum do the work and using really smooth throttle control, he preserves his rubber. But more importantly, and this is the key, because he isn't constantly fighting to keep the car on the track, his mental bandwidth isn't tapped out.
Right, he's got extra brain juice.
Yeah, he uses that surplus brain power to read the traffic.
I hear that, but okay, put yourself in Phelps' rig for a second.
Okay.
Leading the pack means clean air, sure, but the mental tax of being the hunted, that has to be exhausting.
It is.
Because when you're leading, half your mental energy is spent looking in the rearview mirror. Every single time Phelps glances at his relative delta, he sees those sim boys shaving hundredths of a second off his lead.
Yep.
Doesn't playing defense eventually drain your mental battery faster than going on the attack?
The vulnerability of the front runner is profound. I mean, the target on Phelps's back is massive, and you are highlighting the exact psychological trap of leading a championship.
The delta watching.
Right. When a driver constantly checks that relative delta, it induces target fixation. Physiologically, a driver's hands will subtly steer toward whatever their eyes are locked onto.
Wow, really?
Yeah. If his attention is anchored to the timing box or the rear view mirror instead of the apex, his steering inputs naturally tighten. He starts overdriving the entry to compensate for the closing gap, and then he's burning up the very tire life we just praised him for saving.
That is wild, especially when the man actively hunting him down is the defending champion, Gary Wellman.
Oh, Wellman.
Right. Wellman is currently in second place with 322 points, and he is hitting his stride exactly when it matters most.
Yeah, he's peaking.
He knows what this specific pressure feels like, and he is just methodically closing the gap.
Because Wellman has metabolized this championship pressure before. He isn't intimidated by the math, and he isn't rattled by the pace of the drivers around him.
No.
He understands the long game better than anyone on the service.
And you see that perfectly when you look at where the series heads next. Round 12 at Chicagoland.
Oh boy. The economy run.
Exactly. Chicagoland is universally dreaded by drivers who rely purely on hot lap pace because it is an extreme fuel-saving track. It is a grueling economy run.
It really is.
And Wellman's performance there last season, it's the ultimate case study in overriding the machine.
It remains a foundational text in how to dismantle a grid through pure intellect.
Seriously. For those who don't remember, the AI crew chief is giving Wellman the mathematical absolute, right? The computer is factoring in his current throttle usage, the laps remaining, and telling him exactly what his fuel window is down to the decimal point.
The AI is very rigid.
Right. But Wellman ignores the algorithm. Using his own intuition, reading the shifting pace of the pack, and calculating the slipstream effect, he manually overrides the pit menu.
On the fly.
That jiving.
On the fly. He bumps up his fuel fill by exactly 4 liters on his final stop. Just 4 liters.
And that precise, split-second human decision allowed him to stay out on track at full pace while the rest of the top 5 literally choked on fumes in the final 2 laps.
Well, the mechanics of fuel saving require a complete rewiring of a driver's instinct.
Yeah.
It is incredibly unnatural. I mean, a racing driver's muscle memory is tuned to brake at the absolute last microsecond, hit the apex, and immediately apply maximum throttle.
Right, go fast, always.
Exactly. But to save fuel, Wellman is employing lift and coast. He's lifting off the throttle hundreds of meters before the braking zone, letting aerodynamic drag slow the car, and then applying a softer brake pressure.
Which feels so slow.
It feels agonizing. Doing this without losing massive amounts of lap time or surrendering track position is a delicate, agonizing balancing act.
Yeah.
You are intentionally driving slower than the car is capable of for 40 laps.
So if the upcoming schedule features these high-pressure strategy races, does it simply become a math test that hands Wellman the championship?
It might.
Because if raw speed goes out the window when tire wear and massive fuel drop-off occur, Wellman seems untouchable.
The probability heavily favors him in those specific environments, yeah. While the rest of the grid is fighting their own instincts to push, bleeding time because they are out of rhythm, Wellman suppresses that urge effortlessly.
He just stays cold.
Cold as ice. He lets the race come to him. He isn't managing the gap to the car behind him. He's managing the gap to the mathematical threshold of the pit window.
Let's look at the flip side of that, though. What if a driver doesn't possess Phelps's surgical visual processing?
Okay.
And what if they don't have Wellman's ability to calculate fuel telemetry on the fly? Enter Troy Davidson.
Ah, the silent assassin.
The silent assassin,
Right.
currently sitting in third place with 310 points.
That moniker perfectly encapsulates his methodology, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, look at his stat line. He has 0 wins this season. 0. But he has 4 podiums and 8 top 10 finishes. He completely bypasses the mid-pack chaos. You will rarely see Davidson on the broadcast highlight reels for throwing a massive, smoke off the tires dive bomb pass.
Never.
He only makes the broadcast because he is inexplicably standing on the podium when the dust settles.
The sheer psychological willpower behind Davidson's approach is staggering. I mean, to maintain that level of consistency in a series as volatile as the V8 supercars requires an ironclad ego.
Yeah, you have to swallow your pride.
Exactly. He has to actively suppress his own adrenaline.
Yeah.
In a racing environment, if someone throws a nose down the inside of you, your physiological response is to squeeze them, right? To fight for that piece of tarmac.
Of course.
But Davidson has the discipline to recognize a low percentage battle, open the steering, and simply let the aggressive driver pass. He surrenders the battle to ensure he finishes the war.
I look at Troy Davidson, and I kind of have to challenge this approach for the modern OzOvals series.
Okay, let's hear it.
Can consistency alone actually beat Phelps and Wellman? Is farming podiums by playing it safe enough to win a title? Or is Troy eventually going to find himself in a mathematical corner where he is forced to throw a massive risky haymaker to take the crown?
It's a fair question.
Right. You can't just yield your way to a championship if the top 2 guys are banking win bonuses every other week.
Well, conventional racing logic dictates that you eventually have to force the issue, yeah.
Yeah.
But in this specific championship landscape, I actually argue the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. In a series where chaotic restarts and late race yellow flags routinely wipe out the race leaders, being the silent assassin is actually the most mentally exhausting strategy on the grid.
Wait, exhausting. I would think taking risks and battling 3 wide for the lead drains your mental battery a lot faster than cruising in 5th place waiting for a crash.
It's exhausting because it requires supreme, unyielding restraint when the red mist descends.
Ah, the red mist.
Right, and the red mist isn't just a phrase. It's a real surge of cortisol and adrenaline that triggers a fight-or-flight response. When Davidson is running 5th, and he sees the top 4 cars aggressively swapping paint and scrubbing off lap time, every instinct in his nervous system is screaming at him to close the gap and join the fray.
To dive down the inside when they wash up high.
Exactly. Actively fighting your own nervous system to stay on your line, hit your braking marks, and wait for them to wreck each other. That takes a monumental toll. If he maintains that emotional baseline, he doesn't need a haymaker. He just needs the guys throwing the haymakers to miss and hit the wall.
That makes a lot of sense, but there's a flip side to Davidson's ironclad restraint.
Always is.
When a driver lacks that specific psychological brake pad, you don't get a silent assassin. You get a raw, unguided missile.
Yes.
Which explains exactly what happened to the wild card Ryan Jr. Barber at Gateway.
Ah, Junior. Barber represents the ultimate paradox in motorsport, honestly.
Yeah.
Immense physical talent, completely undermined by a lack of cognitive discipline.
Oh, man. Let's dissect his drive at Gateway, because it was a spectacle.
It really was.
From the back of the pack all the way to the front, it was an unadulterated display of unmatched speed. He was driving the absolute wheels off his V8, threading through tight gaps like the rest of the field was under a virtual safety car.
He was on another planet.
It was breathtaking to watch.
It was a brilliant display of car control, but we have to be brutally honest about the cost of that unbridled aggression.
The penalty.
Right. As breathtaking as the speed was, Barber caught a devastating 5-point steward penalty for a lap 102 overtime collision.
And the math on those penalties is completely unforgiving.
Brutal.
That lap 102 penalty officially dropped Barber out of the top 4 in the standings. He is now sitting down at 291 points with a massive -8 penalty points, historically dragging his championship hopes backward like a lead anchor.
It's tough. He has the raw speed to outqualify the entire grid, and he can outpace anyone in clean air. But his aggressive mindset and his constant trouble with the stewards might be the very things that mathematically eliminate him. Speed without risk assessment is a severe liability when the championship margins are separated by single digits.
But, like, telling a driver like Barber to dial it back,
Yeah.
it feels like asking a 100-meter sprinter to intentionally walk the last 10 meters of a race.
It goes against his nature.
Entirely. His entire muscle memory is wired for threshold braking, feeling the ABS kick in, and riding the absolute ragged edge of the tire's grip.
Yeah.
Changing that rhythm requires fighting his own physiological baseline. When he sees a gap that will exist for half a second, his brain doesn't calculate the championship points. His foot just automatically goes to the floor.
Exactly.
How does a driver like that actually change their approach mid-season?
Well, it requires a fundamental shift in how he views the other cars on the track. Junior sees every car as an immediate obstacle to be conquered in that specific corner.
Right.
He needs to start running a continuous background calculation on the championship cost of a move failing. Every time he forces a 50-50 pass and causes carbon fiber to fly, he isn't just risking a DNF for that single race.
He is handing the title to Phelps and Wellman.
Exactly. He has to realize that the steward's room isn't out to get him. His own impatience is his biggest opponent.
You know who understands that calculation perfectly?
Who's that?
The guys who are actively weaponizing Barber's impatience against him. The calculated opportunists. Perry Anastakis and Matthew Raymond.
Oh, yes. They are running the exact game theory equations that Barber's ignoring.
It is incredible to look at the standings right now and see that Anastakis and Raymond have invisibly leapfrogged Barber into 4th and 5th place.
Rightly moving up.
Very quietly. They are both sitting at exactly 281 points.
Because they recognize that survival in the V8 supercars isn't passive. It's a highly active, highly mathematical strategy.
They employ these brilliant survival techniques. They understand the math of patience.
They know that defending against a driver like Barber in a 50-50 braking zone isn't worth risking a 5-point penalty.
No, it's terrible ROI.
Right. They've internalized the concept that letting an ego-driven driver pass them on lap 30 mathematically guarantees them a top 5 finish when that same aggressive driver inevitably puts their car into the wall 10 laps later.
Exactly.
They literally step over the debris to collect the points.
And the lesson Anastakis and Raymond are providing to the rest of the grid is profound. Knowing when to surrender a corner is just as vital as knowing when to attack one.
Absolutely.
Their patience pays off exponentially because they aren't destroying their tires in futile ego battles, and they aren't accumulating penalty points. They are conserving their equipment and letting the race organically filter out the impatient drivers.
So looking at this entire landscape, the visual processing of Phelps, the fuel-saving intellect of Wellman, the immense restraint of Davidson, the volatile speed of Barber, and the game theory of Anastakis and Raymond, the immediate future is going to break someone.
Something has to give.
Round 12 at Chicagoland is a pressure cooker. We need professional predictions. Who is going to handle the psychological warfare of these remaining rounds the best?
Factoring in everything we've dissected, the absolute necessity for emotional regulation, the upcoming tracks demanding severe fuel-saving techniques, and the mental stamina required to execute under a championship microscope. My analysis points definitively to Gary Wellman.
Wellman, okay.
Yeah. His strategic mind gives him an almost insurmountable edge heading into an economy run. While the younger drivers are panicking over their fuel deltas and fighting their steering wheels, Wellman will be operating 3 pit stops ahead.
Calculating.
He calculates rather than reacts, and that psychological grounding is how you secure a championship.
I see the logic, I really do. But I am putting my chips on the dark horse.
You're going with Davidson.
I am. I really believe Troy Davidson's ironclad consistency is going to allow him to steal this crown.
Okay, why?
Think about the dynamics at play. Phelps and Wellman are the titans, right? They are going to be locked in a furious, exhausting heavyweight battle, focusing entirely on each other's pit windows, trying to out-strategize and outpace one another.
That's true. They will be fixated on each other.
Exactly. While they are burning up their mental bandwidth, staring at each other's deltas, taking immense risks to secure the win, the silent assassin is just going to keep logging clean, methodical laps.
Right under their noses.
Right under their noses. He avoids the penalties, he avoids the walls, and he sneaks onto the podium while the top two destroy each other.
It's a fascinating prediction. I mean, it ultimately relies on which the front runners' psychological frameworks cracks first under the strain.
It does. Which brings me to my final thought for you, the drivers, before you strap into your rigs for Chicagoland.
Let's hear it.
Visualize this scenario. You are deep into your stint. The tires have completely fallen off the cliff, every input you make feels sluggish, and then that low fuel light starts blinking relentlessly on your dash.
A driver's worst nightmare.
A bright, flashing warning right in your peripheral vision. In that exact moment of panic, it will not be your suspension geometry that saves you. It won't be a perfect brake bias adjustment. It will be the strength of your mind. So ask yourself and answer honestly, are you driving the track or are you letting the championship pressure drive you?
And the answer to that question will determine who lifts the trophy at the end of the season.
Keep it clean out there on the grid, everyone. We will see you at Chicagoland.